The country is processing the attempted assassination against former President Trump, and everyone seems to be looking for answers. Well, today we're going to try to get some here on Speechless. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative activist. If you like this interview, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all of that. But let's get right on into it. Many of you have probably already seen this video right here. The attempted assassination against former President Trump. And while everybody watches this video and sees it from the tons of different angles that have been posted to social media, viewed on your mainstream media news, maybe even seen on my channel right here, what no one seems to be talking about are the angles and the answers that we can find from the people that actually attended the rally. One of my friends, Danny, who actually happened to be a volunteer through the Trump campaign at the event, has agreed to come on and discuss a little bit about the event, the feelings that happened there, everything under the sun that we could not understand if we were not there. Danny, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Of course. Please just get right on into it. Tell me exactly what was it like leading up to the event? Have you been to a Trump rally before? Was it business as usual? Tell me about that.
So this was my fifth Trump rally, but third Trump rally volunteering. And to be quite frank, the day was very normal. My volunteering position, I was just parking the press cars and checking the ADA parking passes, making sure that cars that were supposed to be in a particular lot got to that lot. And then from there, we went into the site. It was a hot day. My next job was passing out water bottles to a bunch of the overheating adults that were just trying to get through the day. And we essentially wrapped up because we saw the motorcade come in from behind the barns at the fairgrounds. And then from there, it was another about 10, 15 minutes. President Trump finally came on. And being that this is my fifth rally, I wasn't exactly concerned about watching the president too intently, too closely, because I was there to help the event go along smoothly. I wasn't there to just watch the president like many of these other people who witnessed this horrible event did. Mm-hmm. I went to the restroom. There's a permanent restroom building about 100 yards from the stage. And I was in there with a friend because obviously I'm a little red right now because of the sunburn from parking cars all day. I'm like, I want to throw some cold water on my face. So I can still hear the president talking. The doors are heavily ventilated. They're just like slat doors. And all of a sudden, as I'm getting ready to open the door, I hear the first 3 or 4 shots. And like, everything just slowed down in that minute. It was, to be quite frank, it didn't feel real. It was like, is this actually happening? Was that actually a gunshot? But then when I opened the door, the president was on the ground. He wasn't standing. And so in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, the president's just been shot. And I immediately slammed the bathroom door shut and yelled to everybody in the restroom, run out the back door now. And then a Secret Service agent actually flies into the restroom from the back door as well, saying, get out and run back to the parking lot. And from there, you just see the horde of tens of thousands of people just fleeing the scene. And you heard parents yelling for their children. And that was a wake-up call that this was real. Like, you heard older ladies, older men who had been overheating all day asking for help. They couldn't run. And it was just the derangement and lunacy that it would take for somebody to commit an act like this. This wasn't just an attack on President Trump. This was an attack on all of us in the America First movement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people are saying that exact kind of idea. You said as you heard the gunshots, it felt like everything slowed down. Can you describe that exact moment, and also the feelings that you noticed from the crowd, from the people that were there? You know what it was like to be at your second Trump rally as an attendee. What did it seem like that could be different for the attendees there yesterday?
Well, one, the sweltering heat. The heat made everything a lot more anxious. Everybody was already like, not to like say anything rude about any of the attendees, but it was like everybody was already tired and agitated from waiting in long lines all day long, having to drink warm water that was provided to them in the lines. And now everybody's finally sitting there intently waiting for the president to show up. But once the motorcade arrived, the attitude entirely changes. It was like nobody cared that they had just waited the entirety of the day. And it went to that normal high energy, high like participation from the crowd, chants for USA, chants for Let's Go Brandon. Everything was going like everyone would have expected. But one thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm playing off of the theories that have already gone out there and the observations that have already gone out there. But I noted to a friend while we were standing directly in line with the stage prior to me going to the restroom that I thought it was odd that there was only 2 Secret Service agents, or they didn't even have to be Secret Service agents. They could have just been like whoever was contracted to do the oversight for the snipers.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was odd that there was only 2 snipers behind President Trump. Normally, at every other Trump rally I've been to, 360 degrees of coverage. I just thought it was odd that there were so many buildings around. It wasn't just the building that the shooter came from. On the other side of the field, you had bandstands for the fairgrounds. You had hangars for private airplanes that could have been breached as well. And I just thought that was something that was very off. And to the average Trump rally goer, it might not have been as obvious, but it was definitely something noticeable to somebody who's a veteran rally attender.
Yeah, absolutely. And so talking a little bit about what happened after the shot. So obviously everybody saw the video of how Trump was ushered into the black vehicle, got into the hospital as soon as possible. A lot of questions were happening even from people at home in that time. I went live pretty quickly and basically told everybody on my live stream, I have no idea what's going on. We're going to react to this together. We're going to figure it out together as news comes in. What was the vibe like there? I can only imagine with how many questions I had from the comfort of my home. Like, was Secret Service ushering people out? What was the protocol? What were you expected to do as a volunteer?
So essentially what happened was it was a total free-for-all once the shots were fired. Secret Service just started yelling at everybody to get out. It didn't matter if you were an elected official. It didn't matter if you were official staffer that's paid on the Trump campaign. It didn't matter if you were a volunteer. They were yelling at everybody to get out of the venue as quickly as possible. And from that point on, the attitude, even though it was a large crowd of people rushing out and there was the occasional screaming and the occasional like loud yelling, I would say it was overall not the same as like just a stampede. It wasn't a stampede. It was a rushing crowd, but I just thought it was very interesting how the crowd was relatively calm, especially when you watch the videos of the people that surrounded the president himself, how the crowd just fell to the ground, remained calm. And then once everything was clear and they saw the president put up his fist, everybody started yelling like USA and cheering like it was a normal Trump rally again. Like, obviously, we just witnessed something very traumatic, but it didn't dissuade the energy behind our movement.
Absolutely. And I think that is definitely something that is worth noting is that a lot of people, especially in the Trump train, people that are very already pro-Trump, people that would be at this rally seem to be more energized than ever to vote for the former president. One thing that that kind of started coming out after we knew that President Trump was safe was the primary victim of this shooting. I believe a former fire chief that has been hailed as a hero. Did you see anything about where he was in the stands? I haven't gotten a chance to see and research every single thing about him. But what do you know? Did you see anything firsthand of this man? Any interaction with him, even maybe, or what do you know?
Unfortunately, I never got a chance to meet him. Like I mentioned, I was strictly there as a volunteer. Those bandstands are for people who essentially earn their spot at that rally. They're upstanding community members, they're state senators, they're state representatives, or they're candidates. Just like the first few rows with the front row Joes, you have some of those very important guests as well. I was there to help the event go smoothly, so I was a little bit removed from the situation so far as just being about a football field's length away from the whole thing. Whereas I had friends that I grew up with, friends that I'd met along the campaign trails, either in the gubernatorial election last cycle or whenever I ran for delegate this year. People that I met, people that I knew were right up front on that line and right in front of President Trump or right behind President Trump when the gunman started firing. But unfortunately, I did not get a chance to have any interaction with anybody. But what I can say is the scariest moment was when you opened that bathroom door and you saw the president was not standing up.
Mm-hmm.
That was what was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, absolutely. You probably had no idea what was going on. You probably thought he could have been shot, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought immediately he had been shot. And whenever we were running out of the facilities, like of the perimeter to get back to the parking lot, everybody was asking, like they were just like, did the president just get shot? These were the people that weren't in the perimeter. They were the people that were listening to the rally outside. And it was just like, yes, the president has been shot. Is he alive? We don't know. This was like everybody online. They had a little bit. I would argue that the people online had a better view and perception of what happened in that moment because they were watching 2 steps, 3 steps removed from the situation. Whereas we heard the gunshots, and as soon as the gunshots went off, it was go time for the rest of us. We had to get out of there. And I actually just remember calling my dad as I was helping usher other people out, trying to keep people calm. There were some friends that I was there with that were helping volunteer, and they were you either get really scared in the situation and nervous and antsy, or you're just like, I need to do what I need to do to get out and get the people around me out as well. And as I was calling my dad, I was simultaneously having to help try to keep one of my friends like, we'll be okay. We got to get to the car. Let's move, let's move, let's move. While also calling my dad, being like, Dad, the president's been shot. And like, I'm okay, but I want you to know that like, whatever you see on television, the president has been shot. And I'm glad that I did because we see the reports that come out from places like CNN and NBC saying president ushered off stage after popping sound, president ushered off stage or escorted off stage by Secret Service after fall. It's like that you would have heard on the television the popping sound. That's not just a fall. Like I was very disgruntled by the legacy media's reporting of the situation.
Yeah, they did a disservice to the American public within that. I want to know a little bit as well. I know that we have a limited amount of time today. You currently go to Penn State, correct?
Yes.
What's your major there, if you don't mind?
I have a double major in history and political science.
That's awesome. So this is like right up your alley then.
Yes, most definitely. And I would actually say
passionate.
It's much more rare to find poli-sci majors that work on the campaign side. A lot of us are interested in the legislative side or in the executive side, but I'm right in the trenches with the America First movement.
No, I get it. I was a poli-sci in my undergrad as well, so I get it. But I wanted to ask in terms of, because you've obviously had a lot of experience. You talked about you're currently a delegate. I assume a delegate for Trump at the RNC.
Unfortunately, I'm not a delegate. So the way Pennsylvania's delegate structure works is you have 3 delegates per congressional district in the state, and you're elected in the primary. So the top 3 go. I came in 4th place by 0.35%.
Oh man,
so I lost by under 0.5%. But nonetheless, I'm still very appreciative of the opportunity to get to do something like that.
That's awesome. You've worked on campaigns before. You said you worked on the gubernatorial back in 2022.
Yes, and I also helped with the Senate campaign back in 2022.
Awesome, with Dr. Oz. That's awesome. Awesome. So you've done a lot of great work. I want to know how your feelings, if they have. I mean, just about 24 hours from the time we're recording this is when this shooting took place, just give or take. How have your feelings and your motivations for voting for President Trump? What was your motivation before, and what is it now? How have your thoughts on this election changed since this shooting and attending and seeing it?
I think Charlie Kirk really encapsulates my feelings whenever he said, "You don't realize how much they hate you." Like, yes, I knew that they've been calling President Trump a dictator and then all of us fascists for supporting him. But it wasn't until yesterday, whenever those gunshots were actually fired, that I fully comprehended just how much they hate us. Because that could have been any one of us right behind President Trump, like that poor father. They will do anything it takes to keep him out of the White House and keep America First patriots from being elected. It's one thing to be an establishment Republican who's just the Democrat light, but it's another thing. They truly hate us. And I'm going to use that on campus this semester whenever I'm trying to flip a Pennsylvania House seat, trying to elect Dave McCormick to the U.S. Senate, and trying to get President Trump elected to the White House. Man,
it gives me chills hearing that. I know that feeling, not necessarily from an event like this, but I know that feeling as I was an activist through my undergrad as well. And I'm so happy to hear that, Danny. Any last thoughts? I know you got some other interviews and stuff, other people you're talking to, other people that are going to help fight in this movement. Any last thoughts you have for anybody watching this right now?
Well, the number one thing is, since I'm trying to help flip a state house race here in Pennsylvania, and since I'm trying to help get President Trump more votes here at Penn State, if you are a college student and it is legal in the state in which you reside and you come from a deep red area or a deep blue area, please register to vote at your university to help flip tilt districts to give conservatives an advantage this election cycle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Danny, thank you so much once again for joining. Do you have anything to plug? Any Instagram, Snapchat, or just any social media that you want people or anything else to check out?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's just Dan_Kunzelman, or you can follow me on Twitter. It's just also Danny_Kunzelman. I'm not one of those people that have like the weird usernames. It's just my name. You can just look up my name on any social media platform. You'll find me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Danny. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Everybody, you guys heard it first right there from Danny. If you guys want to make sure you keep up with every single thing 2024 election, what we're covering, what we're learning regarding this attempted assassination attempt against Donald Trump, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. And as always, God bless you, God bless America, and thank you so much for watching Speechless.